Good morning, Chicago. Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast coming at you from the United Kingdom. I'm Owen James, and this is all your latest Bears news, guys, as we hurtle speed towards that NFL draft next week. 5 days to go, guys. Can't wait to find out who Bears take with the 10th pick. And I'll tell you this for free. Let me tell you this now. It's going to be a blessing to get rid of all that speculation, all that rumour, all that counter rumour, all that just constant just story after story after story. It will be in the books. The decision will be made. We'll know who Ryan Poles has taken. We'll know what the decision is, and we work from there. Look, I love mock drafts. I love mock drafts. I love looking at the college prospects. But there comes a point, doesn't there, in time when you just want to know. Just tell me. It's like, when you're waiting for Christmas and you're hoping that you're going to get that present that you desperately wanted and you desperately, ask for time and time again. And you want to know, am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? And then Christmas Day runs around and you either get it and you're really excited and later you don't get it and you're really disappointed. Now, let's hope that after Thursday the 24th, we are all excited and elated and not disappointed with the 10th overall pick in the NFL draft. There's been so many stories, so many rumours, counter rumours, etc., etc. But the latest stuff that is coming out of the NFL insiders is that the Bears will look to take a skill position at pick 10. Now, loads of talk, obviously, around running back Ashton Jeanty. However, after the press conference given by the Las Vegas Raiders the other day, where John Spytek appeared to indicate pretty much that the Raiders would take Jeanty at 6, given the fact that he said that he was not afraid, in his words, to draft a running back in the top 10. Pete Carroll went, hey, be careful. Or was that a move to try and get teams to trade up to take Jeanty? Was it a bit of mind games from John Spytek? I don't know. Who knows what John Spytek was playing at there? Who knows what the Raiders were playing at? I mean, I think, look, Jeanty is someone who has been mocked to the Raiders a number of times. And, with an organisation more interested in selling jerseys than winning titles, I think, Jeanty would be certainly someone that would help them sell jerseys. The Bears looking to take a skill player at that position 10. Now, look, if Jeanty's gone, there's plenty of running backs later in the draft. You're looking at Judkins, you're looking at Henderson, you're looking at Caleb Johnson, sorry. I think these are all players that, could well be taken later in the draft, particularly Caleb Johnson, obviously. But I think, at the end of the day, this is a decision that I think, we'll see them kind of see where they want to go this season, what the decision will be. And I think, to me, it's looking, from what I'm hearing and from what the NFL insiders are saying, that Brian Poles is going to give Ben Johnson all the possible weapons he can to get the best out of the offense. Now, he's already rebuilt the offensive line, barring, of course, left tackle, where we've got, obviously, Braxton Jones, who may not even be fit for season's start with that ankle injury of his. Although Dan Rauschard, the offensive line coach Rauschard, did talk very favourably about Braxton Jones the other day. So the offensive line's been rebuilt. We've obviously got Caleb Williams, we've got DJ Moore, we've got Rome Odunze, who Antoine Randall called the best wide receiver in last year's draft. There's weapons to Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's decent. I don't think he's a top class NFL tight end. He's certainly not in the same sort of bracket, as the Travis Kelce's of this world, for example. But look, I think at the end of the day, we are looking at a situation where the Bears could move to take a tight end, and they could move to take a tight end at 10, which is unheard of. Well, not unheard of, but kind of not the done thing, is it really? Tight ends are not often taken with high picks. However, the tight end they could take, if he is available, is not your bog standard, run-of-the-mill, garden normal tight end. This is Tyler Warren out of Penn State, and this guy is an absolute beast of a tight end. He can play at tight end, obviously. He can line up as a wide receiver. He can line up in the slot. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up as a quarterback. Yes, you heard me right. He can line up as a quarterback. He played quarterback in high school, and he was even used in some Wildcat plays last year by Penn State. He is a guy who is an all-round kind of player. He's a gadget player. He's kind of Taysom Hill with talent, maybe? Or was that a bit unfair on Taysom Hill? I don't know. He's an absolute beast of a man as well. He's 6'6", 258 pounds, runs a 4.68 40. This is a guy who, his size, his height, his speed is like, I suppose, being hit by a freight train. If you get hit by him at full whack, this is going to hurt if you try and take him down. Now, Dennis Allen did say to Ben Johnson reportedly that Tyler Warren would be an absolute nightmare to scheme for and to defend. Was that perhaps a hint from Dennis Allen to Ben Johnson that this was the man that the Bears should be taking? Obviously, Dennis Allen bringing his head coaching experience to the discussion. I mean, we'll look at his stats. We'll look at what he would bring to the Bears. Now, we look at his overall ratings. His hands, 85%. He's got excellent hands, sticky hands, doesn't tend to drop passes. Ball security is good. Short receiving game, 95%. Intermediate routes, 96%. Deep threat, 89%. Blocking, 58%. Blocking is an area he does need to work on. However, if you've got Tyler Warren in your team, you're not using him as a blocker. You're using him as a threat. You're using him as an offensive weapon. That is what he is there for. He's rated as 80 out of 100 by ESPN. He is slated to go in the first round, the high first round. He is definitely a player who is very highly thought of by draft insiders. Top player. I mean, in terms of what he's like, comparisons, the people have compared him to Charlie Kohler, to Michael Mayer, to Pat Freiermuth. Obviously, Pat Freiermuth, who is the Steelers tight end who came out of Penn State. I'd put him as a lot better player than Pat Freiermuth. Tyler Warren's kind of like your, Deebo Samuel on steroids. He really is kind of that next level, isn't he? We saw how the 49ers used Deebo Samuel in a number of different positions. He lined up in the backfield, he lined up out wide, he lined up in the slot. This is, I think, something that you can do with Tyler Warren. He does bring an awful lot to the game. He is an absolute athletic freak as well. Played in the Big Ten with Penn State. Someone who I think the Bears could bring in, that Ben Johnson could scheme for, that Declan Doyle and Press Taylor they could use in the passing game. I think he's someone who could really add to this Bears organization, to this Bears offense. I mean, he's a player who is a game changer. He is, certainly something that unique in terms of a tight end. Like I said, he's a wide receiver. He's a slot wide receiver. He's a running back. He's a tight end. He can do all those positions, and he's not a master. He's not a jack of all trades, master of none. He's a guy who can play those positions very, very well. He's a guy who can put in on gadget plays, who can, throw the defense off. Certainly someone who, I think would be considered. Now, let's have a look at his stats coming out of Penn State. 5 years at Penn State. If you look at his last couple of years, that's where he really excelled and kicked on. Going back to 2023, first of all, in his junior class, 13 games played, 34 receptions, 422 yards, averaging 12.4 yards per catch, 7 TDs. He's a guy who on his catches, gains a lot of yards. over 12 in all his seasons, obviously apart from last. Then we move into this season. We really saw an evolution of Tyler Warren as a player at Penn State. 16 games played, 104 receptions. The guy went wide receiver on you. I mean, that's wide receiver numbers from a tight end. 1,233 yards. Again, wide receiver numbers from a tight end. Averaging 11.9 yards per catch, 8 TDs. He even rushed the ball. 26 rushing attempts, 218 yards rushing, 8.4 yards per rush. I mean, that's coming from a guy who is a tight end. 4 TDs as well. So his production is excellent. I mean, you look over his college career, over 1,000 yards. Obviously, most of those coming in the last 2 seasons. Averages 12 yards per catch, 19 TDs across his college career, 6 rushing TDs, giving him 25 TDs total, 7 yards per attempt rushing. I mean, he's an all-round guy, a guy who can make an absolute huge difference to any team. And I'm certainly thinking that this is going to be someone that the Bears will be looking at, especially sort of given Ben Johnson's penchant for doing the extraordinary, doing the interesting, doing something outside of the box. Guys, look, I mean, I wouldn't be unhappy with Tyler Warren. Yes, I would rather take, someone like an Armand Membu, slot him in at left tackle, and you've got a complete offensive line. You've completed the job there. Even if someone, Mason Graham, if he was available, if he dropped, yes, I'd be great. I'd take him at 10. I mean, I do think, however, the likes of Genty, the likes of Graham, the likes of Membu will all be gone by the time the Bears come to pick at 10. And if Tyler Warren's there, I certainly wouldn't be disappointed if the Bears took him at 10. I think there's enough talent, given the fact the Bears do need offensive line, defensive line, safety. I think there's enough talent in those later rounds at those positions to more than sort of fill those gaps, So, look, Tyler Warren for me, if he's the man at 10, Got to be happy with it. Got to be happy with it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching the Bears Huddle podcast. As always, guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and bear down.